A new meme has captured the attention of the youth as of late. This, of course, is known as Italian brainrot. Most are quick to dismiss it as a meaningless joke void of any substantive philosophical consideration. Is this, however, really the case? Or is this meme the most recent manifestation of what Carl Jung would describe as the collective unconscious? In other words, is there a deep ancestral meaning behind Italian brainrot which draws on cross-cultural themes which stretch far back through human history? I would posit to guess the answer is yes. Italian brainrot utilizes animals and substances found in nature as symbols to outline underlying thematic truths. There are endless examples of this, which are present throughout time as well as cross-culturally. Take the biblical example of Ezekiel's vision, which features a lion, ox, man, and eagle. These animals symbolize different aspects of God's nature. Furthermore, we have countless examples of animal symbolism in ancient Rome, present-day Italy, coincidence. Also, animals are used as symbols on the Chinese calendar. I will demonstrate the symbolism of Italian brainrot by analyzing some of the characters. Though it is not exhaustive, these examples will demonstrate my underlying thesis. It is only natural to begin our analysis with Talero Talala. This character is depicted as a shark, which has the ability to walk on land through the utilization of Nike shoes. It is important to note that this character is the first Italian brainrot character to be created. It is also a character which comes from the ocean. I don't believe it is a coincidence that in the book of Genesis, the first animals that God creates are the creatures of the sea. Only after that does he create the land-based creatures. We may even look at Darwinian theory, which theorizes that humanity evolved from water-based creatures that eventually evolved to walking on land. For this reason, I believe Talero Talala is a symbolic representation of humanity. Our next question should naturally be, what is Talero Talala trying to say about the human condition? A shark is a predatory animal. Also, Nike shoes could be argued to be a representation of capitalism due to the fact that they are often purchased because of brand recognition alone. For these reasons, I believe Talero Talala is highlighting a primarily Marxist critique of the human condition, that being the inherent predatory nature of humanity and capitalism. The character also represents the idea of Darwinian evolution, which influenced Marx's worldview. Another character is Bombardiro Crocodilo, which is depicted as a crocodile head fused to a B-25 bomber plane. Both of these aspects have deep philosophical significance. Take, for instance, the plane. Planes are essentially man-made birds. Birds in the sky are often symbolic of the divine. The biblical example of the dove as a representation of the Holy Spirit is an example of this aspect. The fact that a plane is man-made is also significant. The Tower of Babel, for example, was a man-made structure meant to reach heaven before the construction was halted by God. Bombardiro Crocodilo is also a representation of man attempting to build to the heavens. Furthermore, the plane may also represent what Oswald Spengler would call Faustian man. In other words, it is symbolic of man's drive for technological progress, even at the expense of spiritual values. The term Faustian comes from the Germanic folk story where the character Faust makes a deal with the devil. The plane is technological progress, driven only by the desire for power over others, hence the bombs. It is highly symbolic of the space race, which was not a noble pursuit, but instead a direct result of the development of Cold War nuclear missile technology. Bombardiro Crocodilo reaches for the stars, but only for dominance over others. The second component of this character is the crocodile head. A crocodile is a reptile. Is it a coincidence that the devil himself is represented as a reptile in the book of Genesis? A third character worthy of philosophical inquiry is Tun Sahur. He is represented as a plank of wood carrying a wooden baseball bat. It is important to consider that unlike the other characters, Tun Sahur represents a sort of unity of man in the world. He accepts himself as being a piece of wood and embraces it by creating a bat out of wood, which is the very substance that makes up himself. Tun Sahur is what Friedrich Nietzsche would describe as the Übermensch. He does not adopt the otherworldliness of Christianity. Instead, he accepts his place in the world as a piece of wood and uses it for his own creations. Unlike the Christian idea of the immortal soul, he does not claim to be separate from the world, but instead a part of it. He has embraced his will to power with his baseball bat, representing the affirming of his own existence. We have unraveled the profound symbolic meaning of 3 of the Italian Brainrot characters, and there is certainly more, which could be gleaned not just with the ones mentioned here, but also the multitude of other characters which were not mentioned. I hope that this brief analysis will lead to further intrigue and philosophical examination.